Mr. Chairman. I think it's 8.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mr. Richards, I often hear women, including my wife, talk about the way women are treated as opposed to men. And not being a woman, I at the same time try to be sensitive. So I want to just the chairman just gave you a series of questions. I just have a few other ones. Mr. Richards, I find it extremely hypocritical that Republicans criticize the salaries of Planned Parenthood officials when you have violated no laws, especially while these same Republicans completely ignore the CEOs of huge companies that are actually guilty of breaking the law. Earlier this year, Citicorp, J.P. Morgan, and other major banks pled guilty to manipulating currency markets and interest rates. They were fined more than $5 billion for their actions. Yet Citigroup CEO still received $13 million last year, and J.P. Morgan CEO received $20 million. These banks get extensive federal support in the form of borrowing through the Federal Reserve's discount window and access to deposit insurance through the FDIC. Ms. Richards, do you know if House Republicans made any effort to strip the banks of their federal support that I just talked about?
I'm not aware.
Well, I can tell you they didn't. Johnson & Johnson, another one, was fined more than $2 billion for illegally marketing drugs and paying kickbacks to doctors and nursing homes. Yet the company's CEO still received $25 million last year. Ms. Richards, do you know if the House Republicans conducted an investigation of this company or other drug companies that violated the law? Do you?
I do not.
Well, I can answer that for you. No, they didn't. And they also never sought to deny them federal funding through Medicaid or to block their NIH grants. Let me go on. Last month, Lockheed Martin was fined millions of dollars for using taxpayer funds to lobby Congress to maintain its hold on a multi-billion-dollar Pentagon contract. Lockheed CEO received a stunning $33 million last year. Ms. Richards, do you know if there has been any investigation or any effort, to eliminate Lockheed Martin's federal funding?
Sounds like there hasn't been.
You got it. Of course there wasn't. These are huge companies that are actually guilty of breaking the law, and their CEOs make millions of dollars. Republicans never criticize the salaries of their CEOs, and they never try to strip their federal funding, their government subsidies, or their tax breaks. But when it comes to women's health, the Republicans' approach is completely different. Republicans targeted Planned Parenthood, which provides essential, high-quality care to millions of American women more aggressively than all of these companies combined. With no evidence of wrongdoing, these Republican investigations multiply and the political theater continues. This whole defunding fight is just a pretext for the real Republican agenda. It's a pretext. Take away the constitutional right of women and their doctors to decide what is best for them. I reject these shameful attacks on women's health. Let me go on. Now, Ms. Richards, I want to thank you for being here. And Republicans accuse the Planned Parenthood of selling fetal tissue from abortions for profit. Federal law explicitly allows for the reimbursement of reasonable expenses for tissue samples. But the Republicans say that Mr. Dalyden's videos are proof that Planned Parenthood was making a profit. So at this time, I'd just like to, do you know who Dr. Deborah Nucatola is?
Yes, sir.
And who is that?
She works for us in our medical division.
I was going to show some clips, but our friends had some problems with it, so I want to just do some quotes from some of the stuff that Mr. Dalyden left on the cutting floor when he was doing his working with the tapes. Dr. Deborah Nucatola said, and I quote, "To them, this is not a service they should be making money for," end of quote. That was left on the floor. She said also, no, quote, "No one's going to see this as a money-making thing," end of quote. She went on to say, "We're not looking to make money from this. Our goal is to keep access available," end of quote. Another quote that was left on the cutting room floor, "We really just want it to be reasonable for the impact it has on the clinic. This isn't a new revenue stream that affiliates are looking at. This is a way to offer patients a service that they want, do good for the medical community, and still maintain access at the end of the day," end of quote. She went on to say another piece on the cutting room floor, this is on the floor. Are there, quote, are there affiliates that would just donate the tissue or for free? Or, and then there's another one, and then I'll just end with this one. Dr. Nucatola said, and I quote, probably, I mean, really, the guidance is this is not something you should be making an exorbitant amount of money on. So let me ask you this. Ms. Richards, I cannot imagine a more clear answer than these. I mean, as far as I can tell, Dr. Leiden and his group spent a better part of 3 years, Ms. Richards, trying and failing to entrap Planned Parenthood employees. They tried to get someone to sign a contract, agree to a sale, or provide even one tissue sample at a price above the reasonable expenses that are allowed under the law. But nobody has identified a single incident where that occurred. Is that right, Ms. Richards?
That's correct.
It's amazing how hard Mr. Leiden and his group tried to get your affiliates to accept more than reasonable expenses. Over and over again, they pressed, they pushed, they cajoled, but they never succeeded. So after they failed in this 3-year effort, when they were unable to get even one agreement, they put out these misleading videos instead, and they cut out every single time an employee said, no, 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 no. Ms. Richards, my final question as I run out of time. In the clips that I just talked about, Dr. Nucatola was not aware that she was being secretly recorded. Do you know whether that's accurate or not?
That's completely accurate.
So she was sharing the truth. That is, Planned Parenthood does not seek to profit from its participation in fetal tissue research. Is that correct?
That's correct.
My time is up.
Thank the gentleman. We'll now